Have you ever said yes to a party or a project today, only to realize your calendar is a nightmare next week? We often trade our future peace for a moment of social comfort. In this episode, we explore why your future self is literally paying the price for the commitments you make right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Life English Talk Podcast. I'm Julia.
And I'm Alex. This podcast helps intermediate English learners improve their English through real conversations about psychology, emotional intelligence, relationships, and personal growth. Today we're continuing our Emotional Intelligence series, and we're exploring something almost everyone experiences but rarely questions deeply.
Why your future self is paying the price for the yeses you say today.
That's a sentence worth sitting with for a second.
It really is. Because when most of us say yes to the dinner, to the project, to helping a friend move on a Saturday morning, we don't think of it as a trade. We think of it as kindness.
As being a good person.
And maybe it is, sometimes, but there's something else happening underneath that moment. Something biological. Something that moves faster than your thoughts.
So imagine someone asks you something. Can you come to my birthday next week? Can you take on this extra task at work? Can you just help me with this one thing?
And before you even form a real opinion, your brain is already running its own calculation. Will this person be upset if I say no? Will I feel guilty? Will there be that awkward silence, that look of disappointment?
And the brain doesn't like that. The brain finds that uncomfortable.
So it chooses the yes. Not because the yes is right, but because the discomfort of no is immediate. It's right here, in this room, in this conversation, on this face looking at you.
But the cost of the yes? That's somewhere in the future.
And the future feels flexible, forgiving, less real than this moment right now.
Have you ever noticed that?
That when you agree to something weeks away, a dinner, a trip, a commitment, it feels light? Almost like it doesn't fully count yet?
Like it's happening to some other version of you, a future version, who will somehow have more energy, more time, more emotional space than you do today.
We treat our future selves like strangers.
There's actually a name for this in psychology. It's called the empathy gap. And it means that we are not very good at imagining how we will feel in a future moment, especially if that future involves tiredness, stress, or emotional weight.
So when someone invites you to something 6 weeks from now, your brain genuinely believes that future you will be rested and free and full of enthusiasm.
That future you will have a magically clear calendar.
A magically clear calendar. And endless energy.
But of course, when you become that future version of yourself, sitting on a Thursday evening after a long week, already tired, already a little depleted, you look at your plans for the weekend and you think,
Who agreed to this?
who said yes?
You did, 2 weeks ago. But the optimistic version of you, the one who thought everything would feel fine by then.
And this is where I want to talk about what I think of as the hidden interest rate on commitments.
I love the way you frame this.
So think of it this way. When you say yes to something, you're borrowing time from your future self. You're taking a Saturday afternoon 3 weeks from now and you're spending it today in this conversation, in this moment of saying yes.
Okay.
But it's never just that afternoon, is it? There's the getting ready, the travel, the time before where you're thinking about it, maybe a little anxious, maybe a little tired, and then the day after where you're recovering, where you needed to rest, but you can't because you're carrying the weight of everything you gave.
So the interest accumulates.
The interest accumulates. 1 yes becomes 6 hours. 2 yeses become a whole weekend. And suddenly your future self is standing in a life full of other people's schedules, wondering where their own time went.
And I think what makes us feel invisible is that each individual yes seems small. Reasonable.
Completely reasonable.
It's the pattern that costs.
There's a phrase I want our listeners to really sit with, and it's this. Every yes to someone else is an automatic no to something of your own.
Say that again slowly.
Every yes to someone else is an automatic no to something of your own. Your rest, your quiet Sunday morning, the book you keep meaning to start, the creative project waiting in a folder you haven't opened in months, the walk you postpone every week.
And we never see that invisible no. We only see the visible yes. We only see ourselves being available, being helpful, being present.
But what we subtract from ourselves, that disappears quietly, without ceremony.
And when this pattern continues, week after week, month after month, something starts to grow underneath it.
Resentment.
That quiet, slow resentment. That feeling of, I'm always there for everyone, but I never seem to be there for myself. And nobody forced me. I said yes, but I said yes without understanding the full price.
I think there's also something that happens to creative people specifically, or really to any person who needs mental space to function well.
What do you mean?
The first thing that disappears when we overcommit is unstructured time. Those open afternoons, that Saturday with nothing planned, that hour before bed that you spend however you want.
Because it looks empty on the calendar.
It looks empty. So when something needs to go, when a commitment needs to fill a space, it fills that space first.
But that time isn't really empty.
It's the most full time there is. It's where ideas come from. It's where you remember who you are outside of your obligations. It's where you come back to yourself.
I want to ask something to anyone listening right now. When was the last time you had an afternoon with nothing scheduled? Not empty because you were too tired to plan, but intentionally open, on purpose, chosen.
For a lot of people, that's a hard question to answer.
Because somewhere along the way, we started to equate being busy with being useful, and being useful with being good.
And a free afternoon started to feel almost irresponsible.
Like you should be doing something for someone.
Which brings me to the identity layer of this, because I think it goes deeper than scheduling. I think every commitment you make is a tiny vote for a version of yourself.
Say more.
If you keep saying yes to things that drain you, that cost more than they give, you are slowly building a life shaped around other people's priorities. And after enough time, you look up and realize you don't quite remember what your own priorities were.
And that's not something anyone does intentionally.
Never intentionally. It happens in moments. One small yes at a time.
And the strange truth is, and this is something I really believe, protecting yourself is not selfishness. A version of you that is constantly overextended, constantly depleted, carrying a quiet resentment they don't even fully understand. That version cannot be fully present for the people they love. They can show up, but they can't really be there.
They're going through the motions.
Saying yes while privately paying the price.
So, what do we actually do with this?
Let's get practical.
The first thing, and this single shift changed more for me than almost anything else, is the pause before the answer.
The pause.
Most of us respond to invitations almost automatically. Someone asks and we answer quickly because silence feels uncomfortable, because we want to seem available, open, friendly. But what if, just before the answer, you gave yourself one breath?
Just one.
Just one breath. Not to seem mysterious, not to be difficult, but because that breath is actually the moment of honesty. It's where you check in with the version of you that will have to live with this yes. Not the version of you in this room, in this warm social moment, the version of you 3 weeks from now, on a Wednesday night after a hard day.
And even 24 hours can completely change your answer.
The 24-hour rule. Let me check my calendar and come back to you tomorrow. Simple, polite. And in that space, that small gap between the invitation and the response, something interesting happens. The social warmth of the moment cools a little, and you can hear yourself more clearly.
You can feel the difference between genuinely wanting something and just responding to the pressure of the moment.
Those are very different things.
Very.
And then the language. Because I think a lot of people avoid saying no, not because they don't want to, but because they don't have the words. And when we don't have words ready, we default to yes, or we disappear and avoid the conversation entirely, which is worse.
So let's give our listeners something real, something they can actually use. Natural phrases, the kind you'd hear in an actual conversation.
I really appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not going to be able to make it. That's it. Short, warm, final. No explanation required.
Or, I'd love to, but I'm already fully committed that week. Notice the word fully. It closes the door gently but clearly.
And one that I think takes real courage to say, I'm protecting some time for myself right now, but let's find another moment. Because that one is honest. You're not inventing a conflict. You're not pretending you have other plans. You are telling the truth that your time is something you're actively guarding.
Protecting your time. Out loud, without apology.
And I think that last part matters. Without apology.
Because the apology is where we give the power back. We say no, and then immediately we say, sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I wish I could. Maybe another time. I feel terrible. And suddenly, the no doesn't feel like a no anymore. It feels like an opening.
Like you might change your mind if they just push a little.
So, kind, warm, final. No long explanation needed.
There's one more thing I want to share. A small practice. And it sounds simple, but it's surprisingly powerful.
Tell me.
Before you say yes to something, try to actually imagine yourself in that future moment. Not the invitation, not the excitement of being asked, not the warmth of the person's face right now. The actual experience. The actual Tuesday evening when you're already tired and you have to get dressed and go across the city. The Saturday morning when you wanted silence, but instead you're already moving, already performing, already giving.
Imagine your energy level, your mood, your inner weather.
And if that imagined version of you feels a kind of heaviness, a low, quiet dread, that is information. That is your future self trying to reach back through time and tell you something.
They're asking you to protect them.
Before it's too late to protect them.
And on the other side of this, I want to talk about what it actually feels like when you start protecting your time. When you say no more often. When you leave space in your life that is truly yours.
What does it feel like?
At first, it feels strange. Guilty, even. Like you should be doing something. Should be helping someone. Should be useful.
The guilt of not being needed.
And then, after that guilt settles, because it does settle, what comes up is something quieter. Something almost forgotten.
Yourself.
You remember what you actually like, what you actually care about, what you wanted before you got so busy living inside everyone else's requests.
Ideas come back. Creative energy comes back. The projects you kept postponing, they become possible again. Because possibility needs space. And for a long time, there was no space left.
There was only the schedule. And the schedule was always full.
Your time is not a limitless resource. It doesn't reset. It doesn't regenerate. It moves in one direction, quietly, whether you notice or not.
And the question isn't whether you'll spend it. You will. You already are. The question is only, who are you spending it for?
We'll leave you with one small thing to carry with you today. Not a rule, not a challenge.
Just this. The next time someone asks you for your time, before you answer, take one breath. And in that breath, think of your future self. Not as a stranger with an empty calendar and unlimited energy, but as a real person. A person who is tired sometimes, who has their own needs, who is doing their best. A person who deserves to be considered before you answer.
Ask yourself, is this a yes I'm giving freely, or a yes my future self will quietly be paying for?
Thank you for spending this time with us today.
Take good care of your future self.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.